Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video, and for today's video I'm going to tier rank all of the books that I read in 2022. I have read 58 books in 2022 and I'm gonna tier rank them from S to D. The S tier being the top tier, the god tier or chef's kiss tier, and the D tier being the lowest you can possibly put a book. So this video is not gonna be me sitting and reviewing all of these books because I will not remember what I rated them when I first read them. But in this video I'm going to tier rank the books as how I remember them, the feelings that I get now while looking back on my reading experience, and not my initial thoughts about them. I will try to talk about them in order of me reading them, so we will begin with the books that I read first in January 2022. But when it comes to series, I will be talking about the series in general and put up all the books in a series, even though I didn't read them in that order. So with all of these things cleared, let's talk about the tier ranking of the books that I read in 2022. And the first book that we will be tier ranking together is Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I read this in the hopes of trying to learn how to make a murder mystery because that's what I've been writing this year. A murder mystery set in a fantasy setting. Now it comes to my feelings towards this book. I got kind of angry at the fact that you couldn't guess the killer because she had like erased all of the hints by doing a certain thing in the book. This was very good, but I think I will have to put it at like C tier because I don't have that strong emotions about it. And then we have Morning Star, which is the third book in a series by Pierce Brown. I have read the previous ones and liked them. Is it better than Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None? Yes, it is better. I'm putting it at B tier because it was a very good third installment of the story and the end of the first trilogy, but it wasn't better than any of the other books in the series. And then we have Rebecca, which is also a kind of mystery, also classic. I didn't like this book at all. I'm putting it at D tier. This book took me way too long to read. It was very dull and hard to get through, slow to get through. I'm putting it at D tier. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was very good. I'm putting it at B tier, and I think I'm gonna be putting it at before Morning Star. Sally Rooney, Conversations with Friends. I read Sally Rooney's Normal People and absolutely loved it. This was also very good. I think I'm putting it at A tier actually, which feels kind of bad because this is a book about bad people and bad choices and mental health and unhealthy relationships. But you know, Sally Rooney, she hits a spot in my heart that nobody else can hit. So this book will be put at A tier. Then we have And Somebody, and it's a Swedish novel. And I've also read the second book, which is Berghamn. I'm putting them in between A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Morning Star. This feels right. Okay. Then we have all of the Tessa Bailey books. I don't know what happened. I don't know why, but I had a spurt of reading all of Tessa Bailey's works and I listened to them on audiobook. So the first series or duology that I listened to by her was It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line and Sinker. It Happened One Summer, honestly, S tier. It was the first book that I read by Tessa Bailey and it was the best book that I ever read by her. Hook, Line and Sinker, I am putting this at B tier actually because it's not as good as Conversations with Friends. Then we have the Fixer Up series, also by Tessa Bailey of course. The first one was actually really good. I'm gonna put it at A tier. I really like the first one. I feel like a lot of people disliked the first one in the series, but I'm surprised that I liked Fix Her Up better than Hook, Line and Sinker. Love Her or Lose Her. I'm putting this at B tier because I did really like it. It was not better than Hook, Line and Sinker, but it was better than all of the other books. The last book in the series is called Tools of Engagement, but like when I think back on this, I can't really understand why I liked it. It was steamy as hell. I liked the relationship between the heroine and the hero's niece. I think I'm putting this at C tier, which is very odd because I remember liking this better than the second one, Love Her or Lose Her. I remember why I liked Love Her or Lose Her, but Tools of Engagement is very bland for me looking back on it. So then I read Ninth House by Lee Bardugo and it's not bad per se, but I did not enjoy. Or actually, I'm putting it at C tier. This was a hell to get through, but it wasn't as bad as Rebecca. Then I read a book for school. It was better than Rebecca, but not better than Ninth House. And then we have A Rogue of One's Own, which is a historical romance. I had a very hard time liking this book because I liked the couple after like they get together because I like their dynamic. It's kind of like Evangeline and Jack's dynamic, Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After. I'm currently reading The Ballad of Never After, so that's why this just popped into my head. I like the dynamic, but this had a lot of historical like influences and discussions about feminism in the 18th century, 17th century. I don't remember when this is being set. It was a little bit too technical when it comes to those things, and a little bit too political for my taste when it comes to like historical romances. I think I'm gonna put it a B tier. You know, most of the books will be B tier because I'm not that harsh with my ratings, which means that I'm not giving a lot of 5 stars. And I'm not giving a lot of 1 star or 2 stars even. I read a poetry collection called The Princess Saves Herself in this one. It wasn't bad per se, but this is just not my type of book. I'm gonna put it at C tier though. I'm gonna put it after Ninth House because I did really enjoy the poetry in this collection, but it's not my book. Like, I don't like poetry. I don't like writing it. I don't like reading it because I can't really understand it. Then I reread The Final Empire, or what is now being called Only Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, because I want to be reading all of his books. I didn't like The Final Empire the first time I read it, and I don't like it now. This was last place at the C tier. Then we have all of the Heartstopper comics. Where am I gonna put you guys? I feel like they don't fit in any of these tiers because in one way these are so important and I loved every second of them. Then they give me the same feeling as It Happened One Summer. No, because it's so different. Honestly, I just feel like this is meant to be at the S tier. It doesn't compare to It Happened One Summer or any of the books on this list, and therefore it goes to S tier. Then I read a Swedish novel called Solens dotter. It was very well written, but I don't think it was for me. I'm putting it at B tier. Then My Killer Vacation, honestly, A tier. This was so fun. It is a very steamy romance, but it's also a murder mystery. Disfigured by Amanda Leduc. This is a non-fiction novel, which is also very outside of my comfort zone, but it was a very good read. I feel like everybody should read this, especially if you like fairy tales, watch Disney, write fantasy books, to understand disfigured people in fantasy books or in fairy tales and how it affects disfigured people in real life. I don't really want to rank this book because I don't feel like it's fair, because it's a non-fiction book about someone's life. So I'm just gonna put it at S tier, but like not in the actual tier ranking. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, the book that took Book Talk and Book 2 by storm. I felt like this was a very important book. It was very important for me, but it is marketed completely the wrong way. And going into this book, I expected a romance. It is not a romance. It's a story about a woman growing up in a household where the father is abusive towards the mother, and her growing up to follow the same pattern as her mother, falling in love with someone that is abusive to her, especially physical abuse, and her trying to break free from that. So with that in mind, like how the book actually is, it's very good. I think this should be put at B tier, and not more than that, because I was so angry and disgusted while reading this book because of things that happen in it. And I was very triggered by it. I was triggered by the fact that nobody had warned me about this book and what it was actually about. Then we have The Love Hypothesis, and I also read Love on the Brain. The Love Hypothesis, A tier. I liked it very much. Love on the Brain, on the other hand, I liked even more. So that means that Love on the Brain, it was definitely better than It Happened One Summer. So I'm gonna put it at S tier because I giggled so much while reading this book. I laughed. I wanted to cry. I giggled. The Highland Wife, a Harlequin romance that I didn't expect much from and didn't get much from. I'm putting it at C tier. Credence by Penelope Douglas. A very taboo book. Would I recommend this to anyone? I don't know. Maybe if you want to have a chaotically fun and steamy time, then I would recommend this to you. But it is very weird, and looking back on it, it is very freaking weird. But at the same time, I enjoyed it, so I'm putting it at A tier. And Sorcery of Thorns, it was what I needed at the time. A cozy fantasy that reminded me of House Moving Castle. Everything that I love about fairy tales and magic was in this book. Honestly, I'm putting it at S tier. I have so fond memories of this book. It took me out of a reading slump. So first off, Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I enjoyed this book very much. Did I enjoy it more than Credence? Yes. In some ways. This is a rom-com, so I definitely enjoyed it more than My Killer Vacation. And now we can just go through really quick all the books that I read in a short story series by Caroline Nuttig and Gabriella Pierce-Shailen. These were very enjoyable, very cute, but I think that I have the same feelings towards all of these, and that is, it is a fun, cute time, but it doesn't really delve deep and it doesn't make a lasting impression. But that wasn't what I originally wanted from them. I wanted just a quick fun time. But at the top of the C tier, because honestly I like these better than what I remember from Tools of Engagement. And then Once Upon a Broken Heart. I love this so much. Something new happens every chapter. Like, the pacing is crazy, but I love these books so much. They're so whimsical, and I love Evangeline and Jax. So I'm putting this at S tier. I just want to go through all the good books at the same time. Beautiful ones, S tier as well. This is by an author named Silvia Moreno Garcia. Viljans Makt is a Swedish historical romance short story that I also read this year, and pitting a short story against full-length novels isn't really fair because a short story can never or almost never do the things that a full-length novel can, which is also what I felt about the other short stories that I read this year. I'm putting this after the other short stories that I read. Six Crimson Cranes deserves an A. When I'm thinking about my rating on this, I gave it 4 stars, and I feel like A is for 4 stars and also a little bit 5 stars. The book was very calm. It is by Elizabeth Lim, by the way, which wrote Spin the Dawn, which I also liked. It was very calm and peaceful. The main character doesn't talk for like the entire book, so in that way it was very interesting as well. So I gave it 4 stars, I think. The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. Honestly, this was so bad. This was marketed as a Harlequin paranormal romance. The romance doesn't begin until the halfway point, and even then the romance doesn't get anywhere. And I didn't know this was a young adult book. I was expecting more from the romance as well. But then the magic system was very interesting, and the vampires reminded me of the zombies in The Walking Dead. It was that kind of dystopian feeling in the world. So I really liked that, but at the same time, what the hell was that? It was not a paranormal romance, it's just a paranormal book. Vad är värsta som kan hända, another Swedish actually novel this time, is a rom-com by C.N. Persson. I'm putting this at B tier because I did really like it. Let's begin with The Deal by L. Kennedy. The Deal is my favorite in the book series. It does not deserve S tier, but it definitely deserves a second place, or actually the first place, because it was that good. It's a hockey romance, college romance. I feel like all of these books should be put at like A tier as well. Now I have all of those put away. The Deal following Garrett and Hannah was my favorite because I like them better as characters and a couple. The Score was better than The Mistake. The Mistake is Logan's book. Let's get to the historical romance series that I finished this year, and that's the Smith Quartet, and that's by Julia Quinn. The second one is A Night Like This. The Sum of All Kisses is definitely my favorite of them. I'm gonna put it after The Mistake because it wasn't better than the Off-Campus series. I'm putting this at B tier. I listen to these as audiobooks, which may also influence my feelings about them, I don't know. But I didn't really like the hero of A Night Like This, and then The Secrets of Sir Richard. I'm gonna put this at C tier. Now we're gonna tier rank the last books that I have read this year, and the first one being Rule of Wolves. I liked Soya and Nikolai's relationship in this book, and I liked Soya's character development in this book as well. Didn't enjoy Nina's story that much because I'm still hurt from the things that happened in Six of Crows in that duology. So I have mixed feelings about this book, let's just say that. Which means that it should probably be B tier. But considering this was a like near 600-page book, I still really enjoyed it, and that tells me that it's good. Like, if I can read a 600-page book without feeling like it is a 600-page book, that means something to me. Then we get to another book which I know is very popular, and that's Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I didn't really like this book. I think I gave it 3 stars or something because the romance was so over the top, like abusive to me. The male main character was too much, and I didn't really feel like he deserved the female main character. I'm gonna do a little bit of adjustments here. The Highland Wife, D tier. The book was steamy, kind of romantic sometimes. Love the forbidden aspect because the male main character is the female main character's brother's best friend. So I liked that aspect of the book, but that was it. Then we have Punk 57, which I gave 5 stars. It was everything that I have ever wanted from like a rebellious, dark kind of romance, secret identities as well. It was very good. But now comes the tier ranking. Where do I want to put this? I'm putting it at S tier, but I'm putting it way back at S tier because it's at that line between A and S. And then we get to Tessa Dare, The Duchess Deal. I noticed halfway through was kind of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I don't know how to feel about it. So I'm putting it at B tier because it deserves it, honestly. It was good, it was enjoyable, nothing more than that. Honestly, nothing more. Okay, now we get to a few Swedish feel-good novels. The first 2 that I'm gonna put out is 2 books in a series of feel-good novels that is set during Christmas. These books were good, but I couldn't really feel any depth in them. I think I gave both of these 3 stars. Don't get me wrong, they are good. They do everything that I set out to do, but I don't really feel like feel-good is my type of genre because it doesn't have any dramatic feelings. Yeah, these will be at the C tier. Then we have another Swedish feel-good, which is by Caroline Hutting, and the other ones that I just talked about is by Caroline Twombly. I really enjoyed this one. Honestly, it deserves an A tier. This tackles much more heavier kind of topics, but balancing that very well with the feel-good moments. And it's about a book cafe. Like, why wouldn't I like reading about a bookstore, which is also a cafe? All the characters in this book was just lovely. So I'm saying that I don't like feel-good books, but I did like this one. But I have 3 books left to tier rank, and we're gonna begin with From Lukov with Love, because I think I read that first, but I don't know why it showed up last. A tier. This was the best slow burn romance book I have ever read. I didn't think that I would enjoy this book, and the first maybe 50 pages of the book was very slow, but the slow burn was worth it at the end. It was just so good. Honestly, I do want to put it at S tier, but yeah, I'm gonna put it at S tier. Who am I kidding? It happened one summer, doesn't really deserve to be here, because I'm gonna put From Lukov with Love, then Punk 57, then all the Heartstopper books. I'm rearranging all the stuff. So now we have a spot left on A, and I think I know what I'm gonna put there. Well, I'm gonna put all of these books there, but then I'm gonna put Love Light Farm right there after Conversations with Friends. Love Light Farms by B.K. Borisson. This was such a cutesy little friends to lovers romance, and it felt so natural. Like, it was the first time that I read a friends to lovers book that felt natural. Still, I gave it 4.5 stars, but it deserves to be there, okay? It deserves to be there. Then we have Window Shopping. I have very high hopes for this. This is also a Tessa Bailey novella, I might say, because it's way shorter than all of her other books. The highest book in B tier. I felt like the 2 main characters really fit well together. We have the misfit that just gotten out of jail, and she doesn't know what to do with her life, and then this CEO or owner or whatever you want to call him of a department store talks with her about window design, and she has a lot to say on this because she's very passionate about window design and marketing, because that's what she wanted to do before she ended up in prison. She feels very insecure about everything, very hostile towards like everyone. But he is a very gentleman-y type of guy. He is the total opposite in bed, which kind of threw me off because I often like a character to show the same kind of characteristics or personality in every type of scene. But it also made sense for his like conflict that he has inside. Anyway, it was a very well-written novella, but I still couldn't feel that connection that I did with maybe From Lukov with Love or Punk 57. Some of the choices that I made here actually surprised me. For example, Tools of Engagement. I thought that this would be higher on the list. Conversations with Friends. I didn't think this would be that high on the list. And then we can just zoom in at the S tier here. Love and the Brain, The Beautiful Ones, Sorcery of Thorns, Once Upon a Broken Heart, From Lukov with Love, Punk 57, all the 4 published graphic novels of Heartstopper, and then It Happened One Summer. And the A tier is also very beautiful with all of these books. But with that said, that was all of the books that I read in 2022, and this was me tier ranking all of those books. Do you agree with some of my tier rankings if you have read them, or do you disagree? I would love to know, so let me know in the comments below, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe because that's the best way to support my channel, and I post a new video every week, every Thursday, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!